Hey guys, it's Ivory. Welcome to my channel. So today I thought I'd do a really fun video that is not makeup related. I have been wanting to do this video for a really long time, but I didn't know how people received videos that weren't makeup related by me, but I figured I'd give this a shot anyways and see how this goes. I don't do a lot of non-makeup related videos anyways. So today I thought I would go through my diary. I have had this diary since I think I was in 5th grade. The last entry was in 2016, so there are a lot of memories in here, and I thought it'd be fun to just relive some memories with you guys so you can see what mattered to me when I was younger and get an idea of the type of person I was pre-YouTube. Before we get into my diary, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Wednesdays and Sundays and post occasional bonus videos on Fridays. And be sure to also be following me on my social media. Both my Instagram as well as my Twitter are both _ivorycherry. And without wasting any more time, let's dive into this. So just from the cover, you see I have a bunch of golden retrievers. I believe I got this book from Borders, which I'm not sure is around anymore. It was like a 90s/early 2000s store, but I remember getting this book from there. Obviously, ever since I was younger, I loved dogs and nothing has changed. It's faded, but in red right here, it says keep out, because you know, it's not a real diary if you don't tell people to keep out. To the first cover. Okay, so I had this thing where whoever was in my life and is significant, I would write their names, and then as the years go on and they go out of my life, I would go back to the cover and cross them out. So like right here is my ex-boyfriend, and then next to it, it says asshole. And then there are just a bunch of people that were friends, not necessarily boyfriends, but just people in my life that I cared about. And then one by one, I just went ahead and crossed them all out because they clearly were no longer worthy of being in my life. And then you see in like the tiny corner is Steve, which is my husband's name, and it's really the only name on the cover other than my own name that is not crossed out. So he's the only thing that's stuck onto the cover. So in my first entry, a lot of what I talk about when I first started my diary was my feelings towards this one boy when I lived in Chicago. He was like the first guy I was ever super infatuated with right away because I have a thing for blondes. My husband is blonde, and every single person I'm very attracted to or think is beautiful has blonde hair and usually blue eyes. I have really dark features, okay? I have black hair, I have almost black eyes, and I like the exact opposite of me. So I think both boys and girls with blonde hair and blue eyes is just so pretty. I've always felt that way. So a lot of my diary entries at the very beginning are talking about this blonde hair, blue-eyed boy that I thought was super cute, but obviously he did not have yellow fever. And a lot of it is me just like upset and confused as to why he didn't like me. And what I noticed sprinkled throughout all the years is me complaining about my mother. I complain about my mother a lot in my diary. We have always had a pretty rocky relationship, to say mildly. She was a single parent, and my mother is a tough love kind of woman. Doesn't show a lot of affection and is your typical minority mother where she thinks presents are things like putting a roof over your head and food on the table. It's like that meme where kids are like, "Mom, you never buy me anything," and they put bow ties on things like electricity and like the faucet. Like that was my mom. And I think that's pretty much every single parent that is not born in America. That happens a lot. So I do complain about my mom a lot being a helicopter mom and talking about our fights and all the punishments that she would do. The thing about my mom is she was super strict and she was always worried about something bad happening to me. And I think any parent will tell you this. It's very different raising a girl versus a boy. You're typically more protective about the girl, and because she works so much, her solution to keeping me out of trouble was to never let me go anywhere. And a lot of the times I wasn't even doing anything bad. I wanted to just hang out with my friends. I was an only child, so I was really bored a lot of the time. And she almost always said no to me hanging out with people. And there was never a really valid reason why I couldn't hang out with them. And she never fully got it because my mother doesn't have a lot of friends herself. So if I hung out with someone one weekend and I wanted to hang out with another person the next weekend, she'd be like, why do you need to go out all the time? You hung out with someone last weekend. Isn't that enough? We never saw eye to eye on that. And I know what my mother would say if she were here. She's alive. She's just not here physically with me. I just mean, you know what I mean. She's alive and well. But I know my mom would say, well, you were lying all the time about where you were, so that's why I was super strict. But I would not have to lie. If she loosened the reins a little bit, we could go back and forth all day. But that was pretty much the gist of our relationship, and her being really strict on me and then me rebelling like crazy. We're definitely at a better point in our relationship. I think me moving out is what really helped it, because I don't know how I would feel about her if I still lived there. I'll just say that. The next entry that I think is significant is I have this page. I don't know where the photo is, but in asterisks, I say, here was a picture of the gorgeous Chad Michael Murray. And I don't know what happened to the picture though. I was obsessed with Chad Michael Murray. My first ever celebrity crush was Tom Welling. I watched Smallville. He was gorgeous. He had those blue eyes that I said I love. And then around that time was One Tree Hill with Chad Michael Murray. I'm pretty sure he had blonde hair at the time. If not, like it was like a dirty blonde, almost brunette situation. I was like in love with him. I remember buying teen magazines, cutting out his face and putting it in some type of photo album. And I would just have pages and pages worth of Chad Michael Murray because I just thought he was so gorgeous and I didn't have enough pictures of him. In my heart, I believe me and Chad Michael Murray are meant to be. He doesn't know it yet. I'm gonna let him do his thing and live his life for a little bit, and then when he's ready to settle down, I'll be here. Obviously, Steve, my husband, is devastated about this, but he understands that he just can't get in the way of destiny, you know? So I'm gonna let Chad do his Hollywood thing, and then when he's ready to start a family, I'll be right here. All right, so the next thing I wanted to show, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know some of these names. That's how long it's been. And I still do this to this day just to see how times change. I would write a list of my friends and I would rank them too. I would rank them like who I like the most and like who just barely made the cut. And over the years, I would reread my diary entries and I would go back and I would cross people out if I was no longer friends with them. And I would leave no context as to why we're no longer friends. All right, so far all of those entries pertain to 6th to 7th grade. 8th grade is when I moved out into the suburbs, and that was when I got my first, I would say, pretty real boyfriend, as real as it gets at like 13, 14. Like, I'm talking about how me and him are going to different high schools. I wasn't allowed to date. My mom did not know I was dating someone, so we hid it. But obviously going to different high schools wasn't gonna work out, so we broke up in the summer. And I remember being really sad about it because I really liked him. I have no bad feelings towards really any of my exes, even the one in high school, like junior year, that was a real dick. We're actually okay now. We're not buddy-buddy, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Like, I hope he's happy. I hope he's living his life. He even messaged me on my wedding day and said congratulations, which I thought was really big of him. So I think we've come a really long way, but I'm actually really good about exes. I'm not friends with them, but I don't think any of them dislike me. If they do, they were very good at hiding it. So 8th grade was just pretty much about that boy and how sad I was when we broke up. Moving on to freshman year in high school. So in my update in 2008, I say I'm 16 now, I can finally drive and I have a permit, and that I suck at driving because my mom is a control freak behind the wheel. I try to block those memories out just because it was, oh God, it was a nightmare learning to drive with that woman. And then in the same entry, I talk about being single and that I need some man candy. Like, why did I talk like that? Now, based on what I'm writing about, I can tell it's junior year in high school. I am talking about my ex. the one that was like super emotionally abusive. I was constantly put down day after day, never really feeling good enough, and I really didn't get it because we were friends before, like best friends. I thought he liked me, but really he was just using me to get over his ex. So it was just a case of being blind that I was way more into the relationship than he was. And when you see like a really good side in people and then they're like really crappy to you and people are like, oh, you should leave him, you should break up with him, don't give him another chance. It's really common to just say, oh, you guys don't understand him. I know he's not like this. The best thing I can say about that is when someone shows you their true colors, believe them. Don't condone their bad behavior and say like, they're not always like this. They're not really like this. This isn't their true self. It's so hard to see when you're so invested in a person and you're just so infatuated with them. All I can say is I wish I didn't waste as much time as I did on someone who clearly didn't care about me. So after that guy, junior year, senior year comes, and that is when I started dating Steve. So I'm talking about Steve, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty uncertain about him based on my entries. He was a rebound. I didn't know if we were moving too fast. It was the opposite this time. I wasn't super into Steve. I thought he was pretty, obviously. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and was super nice. We didn't have, and we still don't have, a ton in common, but somehow we just made it work. And then I have this picture that we took at the Sears Tower, which I think was for like a 4-month anniversary. Remember when you were in high school and you celebrated by months instead of years? I'm pretty sure everybody did that. That's what we did. And the last entry I ever wrote in this diary, I actually started a new diary just because this one's kind of bulky and I wanted something smaller. But the last entry, I am engaged to Steve, so it was 2016, and we had Willow, and she was gonna turn 1 year old next month. That's it for this video. I had a lot of fun going down memory lane. I hope you did too. If you like these types of videos, let me know what other non-beauty related video you'd like to see from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.